Welcome back. Alright, so I've got 3 boards up here. There's only 6 games. This game was by itself for 2 hours, so I thought, well, I tend to take too many notes when there's just the one game on, so I'll put this on a board of its own. And that's where we're going to start out. Calgary and Ottawa. So for the Flames coming into this one, coming off of an overtime loss in Toronto. For the Ottawa Senators coming off of a 6-3 win over a depleted Pittsburgh roster while they were depleted. And more depleted going into this game because Batherson's out. Now, there's the possibility that there's going to be guys removed from the protocol list starting tomorrow. Doesn't mean they're back in the lineup right away. But, yeah, so for Ottawa, they could start getting guys back by, I'll say, middle of the week. But, again, it's anybody's guess on how long it's going to be before they get some of their major guys back. It was Vladar versus Forsberg. As I said, Batherson and protocol list is up to 10. 10 members of the Senators currently on the protocol list. It was Brady versus Matthew, of course, the Tkachuks. Brady came into this with 7 wins out of the 13 games they've played against each other, meaning Matthew had 6, was about to get 7. Early on, Paul had a shot that was saved. Sokolov then had a chance that was denied. Sokolov is playing well. I'm not sure how NHL ready he is, and again, he might be getting asked to do things he shouldn't be because they just don't have the depth. Hanifin was off the Flames bench. He would return. The Flames get a power play. It was killed off, and there were no shots on that power play for Calgary. Flames press at 6.5 minutes, although they didn't get any shots there either, so some good defense by Ottawa early. Agazino had a shot that was stopped. Thompson then had a point shot. Glove save there by Vladar. The shots were 4-2 in favor of Ottawa at the half. Senators get a power play. Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle both unable to bury their chances when they had them. The Flames did kill that off, and then Mangiapane scores from Monahan and Shillington at 16:08. And it was a nice tip by Mangiapane. There was some debate as to whether or not he tipped it. Lindholm nearly scores moments later. The momentum had shifted after that goal. Zadorov blocks a shot for Del Zotto. The Senators press, unable to tie it. Last minute, Hanifin had a shot that was blocked, and it was a quiet finish to the first overall, but it's 1-0 Calgary out of there. Second period. They talked about how Bernard Docker had 1 shift in the second half of the first period, so Bernard Docker had a good first game. Tonight, more of a challenge, but there were some Sens that had challenging games tonight. Slow start by both teams to that second period. Then there's a press by the Flames at 4 minutes. Lindholm had a shot saved. The Sens were tired. They iced the puck, but due to that, Calgary, they take advantage. At 4:51, it's Lindholm from Anderson, and it was the second deflected goal right after the face-off win. Again, that was right after the icing by the Senators. Things get scrummy at the Sens net after the next play. Paul had a shot that nearly fools Vladar. Things get scrummy after that at the Flames net. Flames go to the power play, remembering they didn't have any shots on the first one. This one they did. Lindholm had a shot saved first, and then Tkachuk scores on the power play from Lindholm and Monahan at 9:18. That makes it 3-0 in favor of the Flames. Flames then go right back to the power play. It was killed off. 2 shots on that power play for Calgary. A pass to Sokolov, near miss. Lewis gets a rush chance after that. And there were too many Flames on the ice, partly because for Lewis there was the line change going on there. And so the Sens get a power play. That power play, nothing happening there. The Flames, relatively easy penalty kill for them. Last minute press by the Sens last minute press by the Sens then. 18.4 seconds left. There's a delay game call. The Sens get a power play. They were 0 for 3 with 6 shots up to that point. Sanford versus Goodbranson fight happens at the horn. So we start the third period with both of them in the box. Forsberg prevents a shorthanded chance for Lindholm. He came out and tipped it away. The kills finished off, no shots. But then Zadorov scores from Coleman at 1:56. And it was an end-to-end play by Nikita Zadorov. Who saw that coming? And he goes right through Forsberg with that one. Sabourin then with a turnover. Forsberg had to cover on that. Zadorov then takes a penalty. It's the 5th power play for the Sens. It would be the final. And the Flames did kill it off. Hanifin then clears what would have likely been a goal that would have broken the goose egg for Vladar. Flames get a power play with 8:32 left. The Sens do kill that off. The Senators press with 6 minutes left. Richardson clears one from the net. Stützle misses one wide. And you have the first NHL shutout in the career of Dan Vladar. So the Flames win 4-0 over the Binghamton Senators. Belleville Senators. The Sens drop to 4-10-1 with the loss. The Flames go to 8-3-4. The shots 12-7 Ottawa in the first, 16-6 Calgary in the second, 10-9 Calgary in the third. Final shots 33-27 for the Flames. Power plays Calgary 1 for 4, Ottawa 0 for 5. The hits 34-23 for Ottawa. Vladar saves all 27 shots. Forsberg saves 29 out of 33. And for the Sens, it's another setback. Let's change boards. Okay, so next up, go ahead and get the glare off of that there. And it's Boston and Montreal. And as I said this morning, this is an old rivalry. I'm old enough to remember from 1984 through 1992. They met every year in the playoffs, and it was great. At no point did I ever say, oh, Montreal and Boston again. Nope. Montembeault versus Swayman. Swayman came into tonight 7-0 in his career at TD Garden. Toffoli can't bury one early. Romanov had a chance that was caught. Bruins get a power play. That was a no. In fact, the Habs were the better team early on in this. They had a really good road period. Armia scores his first of the season from Lehkonen at 8:09. Good rush chance goal. And then the Habs go for more. So the Habs have the lead, and they look pretty confident too. McAvoy had a rush the other way. The Bruins would press. But the Habs were controlling that top line. Coming into tonight, I think Boston's top line, they said, had scored on 54% of their goals. Or it was 51 or 54% of their goals that come from the top line. So yeah, you control the Bergeron line. You have a really good chance of winning the game against Boston. So there's a press by the Habs with 6.5 minutes left. The Bruins get a power play. It sucked. I don't have anything else to say. It was terrible. Frustrated Bruins then go back to the power play. We end up with 124 or 4-on-4 because there were some really tight calls in that first period. Hall had a last-minute chance saved. But after the first, Montreal comes out with a 1-0 lead, and they were full value for it. Second period, early chances for the Bruins. Noshek had a net drive chance that was saved. Montembeault denies the top line. Most importantly, Marchand, who had a really good chance. Swayman then denies Toffoli at the other end. DeBrusk, back-to-back shots were saved, but Montembeault can't save them all. McAvoy from Holland's Boril at 8:27. They took advantage of a Habs line that had been stuck on the ice. They couldn't get the puck out. They're hemmed in. Boston takes advantage. But late in the period, Pezzetta scores his first NHL goal from Brooks and Anderson at 16:25, and it went off Swayman's skate, so he kind of kicked it in. And that gives Montreal a 2-1 lead. Now, what's important with this, too, is Boston played a really good second period, but they're down, right? Dvorak then had a net drive, and he falls down, and he ends up firing it high on that. But it's 2-1, almost 3-1 on that Dvorak break there. And so, yeah, Montreal, again, in excellent position going into the third period to earn themselves 2 points in Boston. Bruins get an early power play. They score on it. It's McAvoy with the second goal of the game from Marchand at 2:14. So Charlie McAvoy, any Bruins fan will tell you how good he's been, and that, yeah, we've always thought there's more points there. The points are starting to come. And then Coyle gets a goal at 5:58. It went off his head and into the net. Went off his helmet and into the net. It's one of those, I got to clear the puck out, and I'm trying to think, was it Petrie was trying to clear it out, and it goes in off Coyle's head. But Coyle will take that because he's been struggling. And then clearly smacking him in the head with a puck worked. I'm not saying that you should do that with other players that are struggling, but maybe. Because he scores again from DeBrusk and Steen at 9:05. And that one went up and over Montembeault. And this is where, now that it's a 4-2 lead, Bruins fans, they classy it up, chanting the ole, ole, ole chants, which, yeah, Boston and Montreal, this rivalry is real. Montreal and Boston fans are part of that rivalry. DeBrusk to Pasternak, then bounces away from Pasternak. He wasn't able to get a goal tonight. Gallagher had a shot that was saved. Coyle seeking a hat trick. It wouldn't go. Sherrod had a shot that was blocked. And then they pulled the goalie with 2.5 minutes left. And so Montreal, Gallagher trying to put the puck back to the point. It bounces off of a linesman and right to Pasternak. Pasternak gives it to Hall. Hall puts it in the empty net at 18:02. And Gallagher was really letting the linesman have it after that. Straight back to the bench, even yelling from the bench at the linesman. Totally understandable. I mean, it is surprising. It doesn't happen more often in hockey. Yvonne and I were talking about that at the Abbotsford game on Friday, saying, wow, it's these refs, it's surprising that the pucks don't hit them more often. Just we noticed how many times it almost was hitting a referee or a linesman. So Boston wins this one 5-2. Montreal drops to 4-11-2. Their season's still careening in the wrong direction. Boston goes to 8-5. They won both games this weekend. Again, I know people have talked a lot about, well, Boston's not playing that well. Boston this, Boston that. They're 8-5. Their record is decent, and we'll see how things go. They had a lot of tough games early in the season. New Jersey and Montreal, not that they're bad teams, but they're not in top spots in the league exactly, and they're not expected to be top teams. And so, yeah, Boston getting the points where they need to. Shots were 12-11 Montreal in the first, 20-11 Boston in the second, and then 10-7 Boston in the third. Final shots 41-29 for the Bruins. Power plays Montreal 0 for 1, Boston 1 for 4. The hits 31-29 for Boston. MTL-BOS saves 36 out of 40. Swayman saves 27 out of 29. He goes to 8-0 at TD Garden. Loves playing at home. And Jeremy Swayman is the better of the two goaltenders, and that was kind of what I was expecting coming into this season. Anyways, Ullmark has had a rough start. Swayman has not. It's been a lot of fun. So, then we move on to New Jersey and the New York Rangers. It was Blackwood versus Georgiev. Blackwood doesn't finish the game. We will discuss this. Early press by the Rangers. In fact, 5 minutes into this, the shots were 7-1 in their favor. So, yeah, the Rangers were just flying. Tatar then couldn't put one on the net. The Devils generated more in the second half of the period. Panarin had a chance that was saved. Hischier to Zacha, near miss wide there. Rush chance for Strome was saved. And then New Jersey scores. So it's Jesper Bratt from Mercer and Subban at 15:23. And it was a breakaway goal on a fantastic pass from Dawson Mercer, who is, I do believe, I know at that point he was tied for the lead in points on the New Jersey Devils. I think he's still there. Anyways, yeah, good period for both goaltenders, and New Jersey comes out with the lead. In a period, the Rangers played really well. So second period, the first chance goes to the Devils, but your reigning Norris Trophy winner, Adam Fox, gets a goal at 3:11. Graves was then robbed as the Devils press after that. There was then a power play for the Rangers. That was a no. The Devils press at 7 minutes. The Rangers get their second power play. They don't score during it, but right after it ended, right on the 2-minute mark, Lafreniere scores his fourth from Blaine and Trouba at 11:24, and he needs that. Alexis Lafreniere needs to get things going. So the Devils then go to the power play. They score on theirs. Hamilton from Bratt and Zacha at 13:20, and it was a nice rush chance by Hamilton where he puts it in the net. So it's 2-2 after 2, third period. The Rangers shot blocking early. Panarin with a rush chance was saved. Blaine was down. It was a collision with Subban, and as soon as I saw it was Subban involved, I thought Ranger fans right now aren't happy, and there's going to be a lot of people looking at the replay of that and complaining, I'm staying out of it. I'm just like, of course it's Subban, because of course it is. And the funny thing was the New Jersey announcers kept saying, well, we didn't see what happened, and I'm like, yeah, they keep showing Subban, so the cameraman knows what happened. So Kakko then scores his first of the season from Strome at 6:29, and man, does he need that. He also got a goal in the shootout. Not that it was the winner or anything, but Kakko, good game for him. He got an assist. He gets a goal. And so he is definitely starting to show signs of life, which is important on top of Lafreniere getting a goal there. Blackwood exits, though, shortly after. I think it was a few plays after that. Bernier goes in, and it looked like he was going to the quiet room, maybe his neck. But what happened is the concussion spotter had pulled Blackwood out. And so Blackwood doesn't return to the game. And I think it was the right call. When a guy hits his head like that, you've got to get him out and get that checked out. Pavel Zacha scores, with the goalie being Bernier now. Hischier and Tatar with the assists at 17-16, meaning that Bernier becomes the goalie of record. Lindgren was then denied. Panarin fires one wide with 33.9 seconds left. The Devils call a timeout. Likely just Lindy Ruff's way of saying, all right, let's keep it calm. Get that 1 point. And then we go to overtime. The Rangers controlled off the faceoff. Sharon Govich had a shot that was blocked. Kreider fires one wide. Trouba can't bury one. Zacha with a breakaway. He was denied. The Devils control. They get a change in while they had control. And then when the Rangers got it, they got some control and opportunities as well. Panarin with a shot that was stopped. The Rangers did press, but we go to the shootout. It went all the way to round 7 before Chris Kreider ends it. The Rangers win it in the shootout 4-3. The Devils dropped to 7-4-3 on the season. The Rangers go to 9-3-3. Your shots 11-10 Rangers in the first, 15-7 Rangers in the second, 10-9 Rangers in the third, and 5-1 Rangers in the overtime. So the Rangers were the better team. They outshot them 41-27. New Jersey probably very happy with the point. They were 1 for 1 on the power play. The Rangers 0 for 2. Hits 22 to 15 for the Rangers. Blackwood saves 30 out of 33 before he exits. Bernier saves all 8 shots, including some highlight reel saves. And Georgiev, 24 saves on 27 shots. And he gets the victory for the New York Rangers. So, yeah, the Rangers staying in the hunt. Next up. So the Penguins are in trouble. This is not really all that much in the way of news, but Crosby comes back. He didn't have a fantastic game, but that's completely understandable. I was Jari versus Vanacek on the night that Crosby returns to the lineup, as did a couple other players. Pens get an early power play, and during that, the Capitals score. It's Fevari. I believe this is his first career shorthanded goal because it's only his second goal in his career. Wilson and Hathaway with the assists of .425. And a nice leg drag by Fevari made sure he stayed onside. So that was nice. Caps complete the kill, and then they get a power play. That was a no, but the shots are 5-1 in favor of the Capitals at 8 minutes. Hathaway then scores from Ovechkin and Van Riemsdyk at 14:05. The Caps are pressing for another. They're just piling it on because the Caps and the Penguins have a similar relationship to Montreal and Boston. It's not exactly the friendliest, and there was a lot of unfriendliness in this game. The Penguins had a 3-on-2. Carter was denied, but before the period's out, Jake Gensel puts Pittsburgh on the board from Letang and Matheson at 18:40. So we go to the second period with the Caps up 2-1. The shots were 3-1 for the Caps at 5 minutes. They were still putting the pressure on and still doing quite well. The Caps go to a power play. Kuznetsov fires one high. There's a shorthanded chance for McGinn. He ends up hitting the post. It's one of those, if that goes in, maybe it changes momentum. Carter and Hathaway are unfriendly after that penalty was over. The shots are 7-4 for the Caps with 9 minutes left. So again, the Caps are just, they're keeping things going their way. Boyle can't bury one. There's a press by the Penguins with 7 minutes left. Heinen had a chance that was saved. Jari was being tested as well. And then Sprong scores from Eller and Sherry at 16:11. Former Penguins combining on that one with Sprong and Sherry. Sprong nearly scores again, and then Sherry ends up getting the goal from McMichael and Sprong at 18:36. So Sprong and Sherry are both on the board, both former Penguins. Kapanen then tries to respond, but it's 4-1 after 2. Third period, early press by the Caps. Penguins are pinned down for the first 2.5 minutes, so the Capitals didn't let up. This was a game where, yeah, the Capitals were making it clear, you know, it sucks for you guys right now going through what you're going through, but we need victories. So Crosby had a rush chance that was saved, and then as Kuznetsov does the bird dance after from Ovechkin at 4:43. Zucker then passed right to the net, but that was defended. Caps end up with a power play. They score on this one. Wilson from Kuznetsov and Carlson at 9:35. So that's the first power play goal. Sherry had a net drive in the second half that was defended. Sherry trying to get as many points and goals against his former team as possible. The Caps win 6-1. The Penguins drop to 5-5-4. The Capitals go to 9-2-4. So your shots, 9-8 Washington in the first, 14-9 Washington in the second, 9-8 again in favor of the Caps in the third. Final shots, 32-25 for the Capitals. Power plays 0 for 2 for Pittsburgh, 1 for 3 for the Caps. Hits 27-18 for Washington. Jari saves 26 out of 32. Vanacek saves 24 out of 25. And that's a big part of your story right there. Goaltending really solid for Washington when called upon. And the Capitals getting goals. And notice, no goals for Ovechkin tonight. Not needed. He gets a couple of assists. And that's where Ovechkin's game has definitely changed over the years, is that he did at some point become a lot less selfish with the puck. So he still gets all those goals, but he still had a lot of assists too. He's got over 600 of those on his record. So next up, last on this board is Edmonton and St. Louis. This felt like a playoff game. Absolutely felt like a playoff game. If this is going to be a playoff series at some point, we are going to be delighted by what we get from Edmonton and St. Louis. So it's Koskinen versus Binnington. Early chance for the Oilers. Russell had a shot deflect wide. The Oilers would press. Kyrou then couldn't bury one at the other end. The Blues get a power play. Near miss by Tarasenko. We then get 4-on-4. The Oilers get a turn on the power play, and there's 20 seconds of 4-on-4. And yeah, it's a penalty parade in the first period. Barbashev then scored on the power play, but it's offside, so it doesn't count. And then there's a paddle save on Sod. Good start. Good start for Koskinen. And really, really a great game. Probably the best game of the day. Another Blues power play, and they score on this one. It's Kyrou. This one counted from Buchnevich and Thomas at 14-18. And honestly, the Blues had played a really strong game. They had controlled the Oilers really, really well. They were ahead in 1 point in shots like 10-5. And I thought, well, you know, the Oilers, they might be tired. It's been a long road trip already. And that would make some sense. The Oilers are just ridiculous. So, Oilers' attack had been pretty well contained, and then with 5 seconds left, and the goal went in, and I noticed the clock wound down for another 4 seconds, and I just picture the guy who's in charge of the clock just watching going, did that just happen? Dude, the clock. Oh, right. So, yeah, McDavid scores, because, of course, from Hyman and Ceci at 1955. That's point number 600, and it kind of came out of nowhere. He becomes the 6th fastest player to reach 600 points in his career. And yeah, McDavid, fantastic move. And that's how this works with the Oilers. That's kind of where these Oilers are different. The games where you might consider, well, that's probably going to be it. And this is where they sag. This is where they start to doubt themselves. This team can just take advantage of getting that one opportunity, and it's in the net. Second period. The Oilers had the early momentum. They get a power play, and they score on it. Yeah, power play. It didn't hit 50% tonight, so by Edmonton standards, it's not good enough, but it's still pretty good. Draisaitl scores from McDavid and Hyman at 2:51. So yeah, over a period of 2 minutes and 56 seconds, McDavid has 2 points. That's why 150 points might be conservative when you're trying to ballpark how many points McDavid's going to get this year. The Oilers were now leading in possession numbers as well. They were starting to get control of the game. McDavid with a net drive, Binnington with a nice poke check there. Hyman had a rush chance that wouldn't go. And then it's Bortuzzo, because of course Bortuzzo gets a goal, because we all would have picked him. He scores from Bozak and Perron at 9:58. Koskinen then prevented another from Tarasenko. While there's a lot of goals in this, I thought the goaltending was decent. Buchnevich nearly scores. The Blues get a power play. There was a shorthanded rush for Hyman. He fires wide, but it's killed off. And then Nugent-Hopkins finally, 17 assists. And he finally gets his first goal to go with all those assists from Draisaitl and Yamamoto at 16-11. So Draisaitl continues the amazing pace he's been scoring on. Him and McDavid are just running away from the league. And then 8 seconds later, McLeod scores from Fogle. That's his first NHL goal. And that's where you think, well, the wheels are probably coming off for St. Louis. With 1:26 left, the Blues get a power play, so that rolls over into the third. The Oilers finish the kill. Turris had a chance that was saved. And then at 4:06, Barbashev scores. And it would be easy to look at that and think it hit the post, or the crossbar, I should say. Because it looked like from various angles that it hit the crossbar. But it hits the camera inside the net and comes right back out. So it counts from Thomas and Parayko at 4:06, 4-3. The Oilers get a power play. It is unsuccessful. So the Blues kill that off. And then Tarasenko scores from Buchnevich and Thomas at 7 minutes and 48 seconds. So Tarasenko stays red hot, and that's good news if you're a Blues fan, and suddenly this game is tied. Bozak had a slap shot that was blocked, and then Ryan O'Reilly with a fantastic opportunity with about 1 minute and 15 seconds left. He gets robbed. Then the Oilers get their chance, and with 28 seconds left, Yamamoto with the dagger. Draisaitl with the assist because of course, and the Oilers end up stealing one in St. Louis 5-4. They go to 11-3 on the season. St. Louis drops to 8-4-2. Your shots 14-9 in favor of St. Louis in the first, 15-13 St. Louis in the second, 10 apiece in the third. Final shots 39-32 for the Blues. Power plays, Edmonton 1 for 3, St. Louis 1 for 5. Your hits 13-11 in favor of Edmonton. Koskinen saves 35 out of 39 at one end. Binnington saves 27 out of 32. But again, I thought the goaltending was good. And again, the shooting percentage for the Oilers is kind of ridiculous, and it continues again tonight. They victimize another team. They're the best offensive team in the league, and they're really starting to look like the 80s Oilers. They don't need much space. They don't need much time. You give them the puck, you're playing with fire. All right, now we need to change boards for the last game. Okay, so this was the end of the road trip. I hope if Francesco Aquilini was watching, he noticed. The team's not good enough. There's no way to sugarcoat it. They're not good enough. It's It's not. It's no. I think Canuck fans have turned into the girlfriend at the start of Happy Gilmore now. With the "you're just not any good." And the problem is she storms out of Happy Gilmore's life at that point. And there's some debate about whether or not there's going to be apathy in the Vancouver market, to which I say, of course there's going to be apathy in the Vancouver market. This is why they didn't want to do a rebuild. Because they know the Vancouver market doesn't have the patience for a rebuild. They didn't last time around. So it's Halak versus Gibson. Gibson comes into this with a record of 11-2-1 against Vancouver. Good start for the Ducks. They get a power play. The shots were 5-0 Anaheim at the time they got the power play. Keeping in mind, the Canucks penalty kill, 63.3% coming into tonight. It takes a hit. And the power play for Anaheim, 26.5%. It goes up tonight. The Canucks would kill that first one, and then they score first, because this is a whole new Canucks team. This is one that scores first and then blows it. Höglander from Hughes and Miller at 7:29. They must have seen me talking about they allow the first goal, so now they score first. So Höglander, the one who showed up on the road trip, he's been their best forward. Lundestrom then had a wraparound that wouldn't go. The Ducks go back to the power play, and it's a 4-minute power play. Bowie with the double minor. Not Bowie, Bailey got the double minor. So Halak with a save, puck trickles wide, but then Zegras scores from Lindholm and Silverberg at 12:35. In the last minute of the period, Höglander had a shot that was saved, but it's 1-1 after one period. Second period, early, the Ducks get their fourth power play. Vancouver didn't have one to this point in the game, and Anaheim scores on it. It's Zegras scoring again from Getzlaf and Terry at 2:13. Ryan Getzlaf's now at 998 points. He's 2 away from me doing a 1,000-point video that I didn't think I'd end up getting to do. I didn't think he'd end up at that mark. So that's 16 power play goals against the Canucks in 9 games. That is on pace for a lot. And yeah, that's just sort of how that works. I mean, you can get mad at the refs for the fact the Canucks had more power plays against them than they had for them, but you can kill them. You're allowed. It's okay. It's not rude to kill a penalty. So the Ducks nearly get one. It's on the line. Didn't go in. No horn on that one. Ducks press, Halak covers, and then Milano scores from Zegras and Fowler at 8:55. So Zegras with the 2 goals and an assist. If you have a forward that's struggling, play Vancouver. Ducks then go for another. Gibson saves a shot from Brad Hunt. In the last minute, the Canucks get their one and only power play. So to start the third, the Ducks finish the kill. Bowie fires one wide. That ends a pretty half-okay pressure by the Canucks. Back and forth chances. The Canucks then press at 6.5 minutes. Terry then had a chance that was blocked out. Grant had a shot that was saved and held at 8:35. And the Canucks went over 6 minutes without a shot. So, again, you're on the road. You're down 3-1. It's a game you desperately need at this point. Because while it's early in the season, this is into desperation time, isn't it? So it was a press by the Ducks with 9 minutes left. Myers had a tip shot that was saved as the Canucks pushed, and left me wondering, why is Tyler Myers the guy that's at the net? Just because then he had another shot and he's right in front of the net. And I'm like, I don't know. Terry had a chance that was denied by Halak. A good shutdown period by the Ducks. Really good shutdown period by the Ducks. The Canucks would get their opportunities as the period went along, but still, good shutdown period. Goalie pull with 3.5 minutes left. They ended up pulling Halak, I think it was 3 times, because once they iced it, and another time they had to put him in because there was a face-off in their own zone. And yeah, that's why I put on the board the Canucks keep messing it up, because they weren't getting any pressure. And then they allow an empty net goal. It's Henrique at 19:02. And then with the goalie back in the net, so now it's 4-1. Halak's in the net. And then Anaheim's like, well, why don't we go for 5? So they did. And Sam Steele scores from Delorier and Carrick at 19:24. So why not? The Ducks win their 7th in a row. The Canucks are swept on their road trip. Yeah, that's one of the Finn magnets. I'm glad I have the Finn magnets. The Ducks go to 9-4-3. The Canucks fall to 5-9-2. We are 16 games into the season. The Canucks have 5 wins. And tonight, no one can doubt. When I say the Ducks are legit, they're legit. I said that after the last time they beat the Canucks, and there were some unhappy people. The shots, 13-7 Anaheim in the first, 11 piece in the second, 14-9 Anaheim in the third. Final shots, 38-27 for the Ducks. Power plays, 0 for 1 for Vancouver, 2 for 4 for 0 for 1 for Vancouver, 2 for 4 for Anaheim. So they were 50% on the power play. Hits 24 to 21 for Vancouver. So they've had 10 penalties against them in the last 2 games, and they've allowed 4 power play goals. It's not good enough. Halak, 33 saves on 37 shots. Gibson saves 26 out of 27. It was not an overly difficult night, though, for Gibson. And then after the game, they even had a video package of Patterson not being Patterson. So there's a lot of issues going on with Vancouver right now. I've already done videos on Vancouver. I don't want to have to do another video on Vancouver. I really don't, because it's the same thing. This is a team that is not good enough on any level. It's just not there. From the depth issues they've had on the blue line that we talked about in the off season, that they had the depth issues on the blue line. I like Burrows. I think Bowie's a decent enough guy. Simon Abbotsford, decent enough defenseman, but they don't have NHL level depth on the blue line. I'm not convinced that this team has what it takes to win games at the NHL level, and the Pacifics end up being a lot tougher than we thought. The Ducks are a lot better than we expected. The Sharks, the Kings are a lot better than expected. And suddenly for the Canucks, the thought of, well, maybe they can just end up in 4th or 5th because, look at the Pacific. That talk's gone. And for the Canucks, it's already a long season. They need to win like 5 or 6 in a row. Oh, and their next game at home is against Colorado. So, yeah. I would not be surprised if there is a change made before that next game. And I don't know if it's going to be a coach. I don't know if it's going to be a GM. I know there's been a lot of discussions about whether or not the owner has any concerns. Yes. Francesco Aquilini is not happy with this. I guarantee that. So I do think we will see changes. I just don't know if this road trip did it. This road trip was exactly what I said after the Colorado game. You can't have moral victories. You can't have games where you say, well, if that puck goes this way, then maybe you win that game. They had to be basically annihilated. They allowed 19 goals in 3 games. That's annihilated. And so now we see whether or not there's going to be an appetite to make a change. And not for the sake of making a change, but because it's not working. This is absolutely not working. This is way worse than expected. And yeah, so there you go. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comment section below. If you're a Canuck fan, how do you fix this? And again, just saying, well, fire Green. You have to have that replacement. It's a conversation I had last night with Kimber. Replace with who? And I discussed a couple of names that I've heard, people talk about on Twitter, and his response was, "Oh God, no." And I said, "Right, exactly." So there's that conversation of, so who do you replace him with? And when it's just basically you're recycling old coaches, I don't know if that's necessarily the answer here. But they got to find something. And for the Ducks, 7 in a row, first time since 2016. Kind of turning into a wagon, aren't they? Who saw that coming? All right, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. It means a lot. If you haven't already hit like and subscribe, please do. I will talk to you again soon.